Hey everybody, what is going on? This is Scott Garber back in the saddle of the Profluence Sports Podcast, where we are highlighting founders, investors, executives across the sports business landscape. Today, we are excited to welcome back our good friend, CEO and founder of Gondola and Fresh Tape Media, Jared Kleinstein, to the show. Jared, my man, what is going on? How is everything in beautiful Denver, Colorado?
Life is great. Today we picked the only gray sky day in years. I think it's better for my lighting right now. It's a little bit more muted.
I was gonna say you look good.
Denver's amazing. Kids are good. Only one kid is sick right now, which is a win. And work is busy, which is a fun thing to have.
I was going to say, and you were busy before the boom in sports started. So now it is only poured gas on that fire of yours. And, excited. These are fun moments when we look back. Jared was on the show a couple years ago, almost to the date. So these are always fun check-ins, right? To come back and see from some of the conversations that we were having around where Fresh Tape and Gondola were going. We're going to unpack where you guys are at, what's going on in the market, what you're seeing from your side on the digital side, the community side, the real estate side. And we're going to unpack this amazing event that you have coming up here at the end of May. So, Jared, let's just go ahead and kick things off for listeners that might have not caught the first episode. Give everybody a little context to what you built over there at Fresh Tape and Gondola, and we will build from there.
For sure. So, Fresh Tape started in January of 2017. I was previously the head of sports for Vine, RIP, within the Twitter sports crew. And when we shut down, as a lot of us that are sort of relationship builders are, I didn't want to lose all the friendships and connections I built in our industry. So starting Fresh Tape was a way to continue working with all of the sports platform leads, with all of the brands and teams and leagues we'd forge relationships with, and serve this role as a full service creative production company. I have no marketable skills. It's a fun place to live in life to know that I'm a bad photographer, bad editor, bad videographer. Nobody should hire me for any of those things, but I've built this amazing community of creatives around me over the years. So Fresh Tape was built on that foundation of solving every single big league and media company's biggest creative challenges. So what went from a tiny little operation in the back of my house to a tiny operation with a couple employees in the back of my house, which was really fun for my wife, like getting up in the morning and being like, "Hello, Max, good to see you over there," to now having 22 or 23 full-time employees spread between a Denver office, a New York office, and a few remote folks as well. And then we built, as we talked about last time, we built an internal tool called Fresh Tape Admin to track our work. I think that if you can't tell your clients the ROI on what you're putting out there, it's going to be hard to convince them to come back. So we built internal tracking tools, used it for years without telling anybody, added different features, and then one day had this epiphany that we hadn't built a tracking tool. We had accidentally built like IMDb for social media, because you could paste a link from Instagram and see who made something. There was nothing out there that did that. Spun it out, called it Gondola, and Gondola has its own 4 employees and teams scattered around the country. And now services 30,000 plus creators. I mean, I don't know the total brand count. It's like 50,000, something like that, brands that are on the platform, 4 million credits, and sort of evolved in this SaaS world that's changing a lot from just like a pure like LinkedIn for the creative community to being like a true freelance network creator for leagues and teams around the world. So It's been amazing, and a lot more coming with it.
No, it's super cool, right? And I think, what I've always been enamored with is you've always been 1 or 2 steps ahead of where the market's going. You've been a visionary that's been able to build and not just participate, but truly help shape how we storytell, how we consume, how we build community using sports as the foundation. Jared, I'm really curious just to sort of dive in on the Gondola side. Over the last couple of years, you guys have amassed, like you said, 30,000 plus creatives on this platform. And we've watched now an over-index on storytelling. The last time we talked to you, we were talking about sort of the vodcast and, sort of the short form. Now we're watching folks start to bring this all in-house and own it. What are some of the other trends that you're seeing as you get such a unique perspective and vantage point from a creator's lens that's going on in the sporting market?
For sure. There's a few fun trends we've noticed. First, in terms of the type of content people are putting out there, I used to talk about a content quality cycle where it felt like from, say, 2014 till 21, 22, the patterns would shift every year in terms of were people more interested and engaged with high quality professional content, really the best documentaries, beautifully shot Instagram videos and vines, etc., back down to raw authentic content. I want to see things with that are shot with an iPhone, and then it would go up and down. And it was a fun thing to watch because it would change over time. A great example is like the NFL has an LCC program where they have like content correspondents in every single stadium that are capturing for the league. And these are professional videographers that at some point were told, hey, start using an iPhone. Even though you were using a mirrorless or DSLR camera last year, this year we want you shooting on an iPhone because it's going to perform better. So this cycle happened. And what's happened in the last 2 years is it's not enough. People now realize you have to do both. Your storytelling has to have, and your content you put out there has to have some raw and authentic content, BTS, the real stuff, and it has to have the high quality things. And now the expectation more is to put both out and be iterative and test different things and really focus on performance. Really see both sides, see what does well, and not just settle for one style or the other. So big trend on the content side. And then the other side is who the creative teams are hiring. So you're right. People are staffing out, so they have a lot more internal resources than ever before. But what's happening is on the high end of commercial production, there's still a huge market, right? A lot of people still working with agencies and production companies to put out their show opens, their commercial spots, big brand pieces, still big on the agencies. On everything that's a little bit smaller, there's been a movement away from hiring an agency or production company for a $5,000 gig. The movement is more towards hiring freelancers and letting these expanded internal staffs manage those guys. The tough thing is, though, are you hiring new freelancers in every market? And if you're a global brand and you're doing a shoot in Detroit one day and in Dallas the next, how are you sourcing those creatives? So the big movement has been towards freelancer networks where big agencies and brands are, and sports leagues and teams especially, are building their sort of freelancer armies. So they have a shooter in every state and every big city. And when they need them, they're on demand instead of it being like hiring U2s and sending them on flights to go to every shoot.
Interesting.
I think it's helping with burnout and it's expanding the opportunities for freelancers. So it's a pretty wild change in the market.
It's neat. And I feel like it's only going to accelerate, as we continue to integrate new tools and new modalities, into the creative world, that need for having W-2 and going all over. I think we're going to be able to go ahead and find more local talent, attach it to that more authentic feel, which is ultimately what the market is craving, is that authenticity through these storytelling lens. Jared, let me ask you this. A lot of the work that I've observed has been more upstream, right? You guys have done amazing stuff with the Avalanche, the Broncos. It spans across these big pro leagues. As the asset class of sport continues to expand, I'm curious, what are you seeing the appetite from pro and below? So at the collegiate level, the youth sport level, we're watching new brands come up with strategies to penetrate these markets. How is that impacting your business?
It's fun. I think the biggest impacts that we're seeing across those orgs is that everybody is asking for their distribution play and trying to figure out if it's influencers or something else, right? It's not like influencers are only for the biggest brands, where we are the creator agency of record for Microsoft Copilot, and we're working with David Dobrik and Alex Earl and those type of folks. At the same time, the lower scale, like a Division II team or a venue, let's say it's a stadium or arena that's trying to build their presence on the social sides, they are thinking of their influencer play too. Everybody is doing their distribution play, and it's also thinking about not just traditional influencers based on following, but creative influencers that are the best reflection of their brand. So seeing a lot of work in that space for us. And then a lot of our work in the last few years has really focused on fabrication for all levels, right? And that's like building sets and designs that make content great, but also can be used by fans and stuff like that. It's especially when you think of media days and all these opportunities where the leagues and teams can capture all their players in one day. There's a lot of waste in those, and we're a part of like people actually thinking intentionally about what their fabrications can be used for later, and how creatively they can sort of build sets. The IRL component in a world where we are post-COVID green screen and sort of like everybody's shooting on their iPhones, the set fab stuff has been really big across different spheres of the industry, just at different cost levels.
Oh, interesting. I'm going to go off script here for a second, and then you're going to talk about IRL and the summit that you guys have been, putting together and executing.
Mm-hmm.
Jared, we're seeing an overwhelming demand in leveraging creatives for more like live shopping, right? And so now, instead of just coming in and having this one-way engagement, we've watched platforms like Whatnot come in and use memorabilia in the sports world to bridge that gap. I'm curious, are you feeling or seeing any of that penetrate into your work with such a robust sort of pool of creators? I'm curious how that's lining up on your side.
Well, it's fun. It hasn't really been a big part of our day-to-day like clientele, but like we work with Fanatics a bit on the Gondola side, and over Super Bowl we went to see their operation. They were doing some live streams in their new partnership with TikTok Shop. I'm obsessed with TikTok Shop. Also, you brought up memorabilia and like live shopping. I am a bit too into card collecting still.
Wow.
Like I buy off live rips every once in a while, and it just makes me feel something. I feel like a kid again.
It's a cool sense of community, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I love going to Target and like buying a pack for $10, but it's also like something about some stranger across the world saying, "Okay, Jerzad," it's like my social handle. "Okay, Jerzad, let's see what you got," and then they're pulling some pack, and it's just like the sense of community is really fun. I also think that for all the platforms, trying to figure out different mechanisms for generating revenue, building commerce in. I mean, everybody in the States is still looking at WeChat and wondering when we're going to have our mega app, when we're going to have everything connected, who's going to win on that front, the way that WeChat won in Asia. So like, I think that it's becoming a bigger conversation. And as somebody who obsesses over memorabilia, I have a weird hunch we're going to be involved in it.
I'm really excited, and quick plug, we had Joe Hollywood, who runs one of the largest sports memorabilia channels on WhatsApp. And what a treat to just come in and learn what's going on in that world. And I believe we are just at the tip of the iceberg, to your point, because everything is now, how do we build bridges, right? It's great to be able to go ahead and use content to speak and garner attention. But as you mentioned at the top, that's no longer good enough, right? So I think what's been cool to watch the evolution of Fresh Tape to Gondola, and now Gondola to pulling the summit together. Now you guys are able to put your arms around the industry. Give us a little insight into what that journey was like, getting that stood up, how the first rendition of it was, and what to expect this year as you guys are running it back.
So we have what's up, team? I think that my team wants me to capture a TikTok and just catch us on 10. Okay. This is my life. Baby. It's the life. I think they're also taking pictures because somebody was shredding papers around in this room. So I'm just like, I look amazing right now, but there's shredded paper everywhere. Anyway, there's two types of entrepreneurs, I'm convinced. There's people that write business plans and have a dream and a vision, right? And then there's the people who do things kind of by accident, but then they just don't have the ability to stop themselves when they start something. I'm the latter. So like the only business plan I've ever written was for an entrepreneurship class in college, and I've now started multiple businesses. But the way that the sports summit happened was a fun one. Twitter used to have a sports summit, and it was my favorite day of the year. It was this family reunion of the sports creative industry, right? Every social manager was there, everybody coming together, everybody that had forged these amazing friendships online but had never hung out in real life. This is where they got together. So I spoke at it at the first one, like 2015 in New York, and then 2022 was the last one they ever had before Elon bought the company. I think in like June of 2023, I just tweeted on a whim, I missed the Twitter Sports Summit, we should bring it back. And it got like 12 likes. And that was just enough for me to be like, oh, we should do this. And because Gondola has this creative community, cross-platform, and relationships with all the social networks, we're like, you know what? Why not? Why don't we be the ones to connect everybody? And there was a big gap in the market that we wanted to give a resource to. And that was the people that are either on the keys or just been off the key, or were just on the keys and are now off and are leading teams. They're not necessarily C-level, right? A lot of the sports events are amazing for VPs and C-level. But if you're talking about professional development and connection and community for somebody who's a head of social or a head of digital, there aren't events for them. And we wanted to bring that group together. We also know that for sponsors in our world that are trying to get in with some of the leagues and teams, those folks, if you talk to the CMO, they may be like interested in signing up, but like it's the it's the people that are running the day to day that make the decisions. That's how we see it. Like even here, we get recommendations on what software we're using. I don't make the calls, right? I'm just like, oh shoot, yeah, that's a good idea. So through the first one in 2024, we had like 375 people came to Denver. I think like 80% flew in for the event, which was amazing. Last year, we were closer to 500 people. Or not closer, we hit 500 people. This year, we're going to be a lot more. And we moved to the Denver Art Museum. And the thing we're just so bullish on is like creatives and social professionals. They need opportunities to be together. They grow so much from being together, whether it's through collaboration, new job opportunities that they end up finding, although their employers probably don't want me plugging that because their employers are paying for their tickets. So, but I think that it is a really valuable thing to bring together creatives, and we've hit a niche and people seem to keep wanting to come back. So
No,
it's fun.
It's so fun to watch. And, as me and you are buddies far beyond what we do in the business world, it's always been neat to watch a visionary not only be able to express it through telling someone else's story and then building a platform, but now it's truly bringing those folks together. And I think,
Mm-hmm.
when you look at the properties of sport, like sport is this binding agent of folks, and it cuts through race, color, creed, status, and it just brings us together. And I think what you guys have been able to do for this group that is highly influential in sports is spot on, man. And so give me a little insight to it. Right, this year, what do we expect if we come out there? Who is it for? Give the listeners a little insight as to what's coming down the pike there.
For sure. If you work in the social creative world or the production world, whether you're a videographer, an editor, head of social, a head of content, you'd show up on a Monday in Denver, check into a hotel, and then go to the Rockies game. Everybody is talking about going to see just some good, high quality baseball, and there's a chance the Rockies, put on a show one night. But we take over the rooftop, which is like a blast for everybody to be together. It's funny. My wife once said to me that real connection, a lot of people think that it's like shoulder to shoulder time. You and I go into a movie together. A real connection happens with face-to-face time. So we have an event that prioritizes, as much as there's shoulder-to-shoulder programming, there is face-to-face, a lot of time for people to connect. So start at a Rockies game, and then a full day on the Tuesday of programming divided in panels for production design folks, as well as panels for social and marketing creatives. You're going to see people sort of bopping around the museum between these two big theater spaces. Plenty of time for everybody to connect in between sessions and whatnot. And then we have a huge party at a place called Punch Bowl at night. And then the next day, get everybody back together, more panels, and then we have breakouts so the leagues can go take some time with themselves. It's interesting, despite the fact that there's been investment in more social than ever, the leagues actually don't do their social team summits the way they used to. They used to all have like once a year, get everybody together. It's not really as prioritized these days. So we get to sort of serve that role where, hey, MLB, get all your teams together. They may not all come together for winter meetings. So this is an opportunity for all the social teams from MLB to be in one place.
How cool.
So that's kind of where we're at right now. And it's, ticket sales are humming. We're at a price point that we think is affordable enough for people in social leadership to attend without breaking the bank for their company's travel budgets. And it's going to be a blast.
Yeah. And it's a great time to be out in Denver. So I highly recommend. We will be out there representing the Profluence sports team. And, as a fellow community builder, you gotta show up, right? Like, it's one thing to go ahead and stay in your lane. It's one thing to connect on LinkedIn, but the magic happens when you get to actually meet people, transfer energy, the creative juices are flowing. And that's really where I believe the magic happens. The rubber meets the road. And so really excited for that one.
Yeah.
And congrats to you and the team. When we had you on, I believe it was, April 24, right before you guys launched this whole initiative, right? So really neat to watch visions come to life. I'm going to switch gears here for a second. We've been talking a lot about Gondola. Big congratulations to the work that you guys did with a clean sheet and really producing some of the work that's highlighting and storytelling with the Avalanche. And Gabe, Jared, I'm curious, as a founder, entrepreneur, juggling so many things, how are you prioritizing? How do you rack and stack the different ventures, even though they do feed each other, because you're just executing at such a high level right now? Give us a little insight to your playbook and what makes you tick.
How am I executing on all those things and prioritizing? No, I think that it's It is the forever challenge. You can do time blocking, and you can do a bunch of strategies to say, hey, 80% of my time is going to be Gondola business development, 20% is going to be Fresh Tape team management, and then you keep adding, and then you're like, well, that's 100%, but I do need to take the kids to school, and I do have to think about the real estate because we bought a building down the block, so we need to like make sure that the tenants have, like, there's a lot. And I have
Yep.
the shortest attention span. The fun thing about this kind of a podcast recording is I don't have the choice to multitask. I can't like do other stuff right now. But normally my head is just in a million places at once. It's a superpower that I feel like a lot of founders have, is that like they're thinking about what can go wrong, what can go right. They're thinking of every single thing at the same time. I'm constantly bouncing between different things and I don't get enough sleep. That being said, it's my fault and I love it. Like it's all like I put myself in this position. You know, an example of like overcomplicating our lives is most people that have a company or two somehow just do that. And for some reason, I was raised to believe that like real estate was all that really mattered because industries come and go, but like the buildings that house them are the constant. So we bought our office campus in 2021. And then we expanded to another building and we have some more like this whole real estate operation here. And it's in a really interesting neighborhood of Denver, just next to the Santa Fe Arts District. And this neighborhood is going from like a kind of a forgotten warehouse area of Denver to they're going to build the Broncos Stadium 2 blocks away. And it's going to be a centerpiece of the city. So trying to build a creative district here and work on bringing more creative agencies and other production companies to this part of town is a big initiative of ours. And I guess I don't know the answer of how I do it or what makes me tick other than this I'm so energized by it. The stress, I seek the stress. Like I'm a masochist on that front. And at the same time, like I'm also a dad. So 2 girls running around that are 2 and almost 5 keep me, forced to not always work. Like I just can't. So, it's a grind.
And that's why I've always appreciated talking to you because you just keep it real. There's no sugarcoating. There's no BS. And I think that as you're speaking, I'm just nodding my head, right? Because I mean, there's the romantic version of it that I could put on paper and say like, this is how it's done. And then there's the reality of it. Just so you're like a duck, right? You try to stay like calm on the surface and then your feet are going a million miles a minute under the water. So,
Yeah.
I got to ask though, right? With the market changing and evolving quicker than maybe we have ever felt it, new tools coming on market before we even adopt the old ones. Jared, how do you learn? Who are you paying attention to? Who are you listening to? What are you reading to try and stay current as the market shifts?
I still use Twitter and it just constantly feeds me new AI tools to play with. And I learn a lot from my team. Our team Slack to me, we have like an industry update Slack channel. That's as good for me as any newsletter I'm signed up for. I started reading less and less email newsletters. They all actually get filtered to a good subs inbox that when I have time, I get to. But the big thing that I find myself just getting obsessed with building. I think the coolest thing about where we're at as a sort of industry and society is like the vibe coding shift is extraordinary. And, we as a company have been trying to figure out as we go into a new fundraise in the next few months, like, are we like, if you said to me 3 years ago, what are your big hiring priorities? I'd be like, engineers. We need engineers. Now we need like PMs that know how to story tell to vibe coding tools. We've actually built Gondola internal tools so that I can go build front-facing things for the product instead of doing a PRD that our engineering team can go try to convert into a product that I can then test before they deploy to production, all that stuff. Like I can put things straight into like essentially staging environments that our eng team is just saying, yep, looks good. And just making sure that our backend systems are set up right. It's unbelievable. I think that obviously the only thing I need to read is Profluence. I think that's just like the only, at this point, nothing else is necessary. I'm just constantly building Profluence in the team Slack industry updates channel.
That's a generous plug. I appreciate you. And no, man, it is exciting. And, I think this will lead sort of to the last question as we wind this thing down. But the pace at which we're able to iterate, Jared, it's not ideas and they're not sprint cycles. Like, I mean, we can literally do this in real time. And so 2 years ago, you gave some predictions that were very, very spot on. We talked a little bit about trends at the top of the show. What's got you most excited as we look into the next couple of years, whether that's sports, creators, etc.? What do you think is the most exciting iteration that will come to our industry, and why?
I'm really excited about some of the things that are going to happen with creator empowerment on the data side. Specifically, like we're opening our API to creators. This is kind of a secret I'm supposed to announce in like a few weeks, but hey, I'm with you.
We'll hold the podcast.
So no, please don't tell the world. So we can make anybody make their portfolio their way. The whole world is shifted in the last year from I settle for the products that I'm handed to I can build anything, right? Yep. So whether that's like instead of using the best medicine tracking app in the app store, I'm just going to go build the medicine tracking app like this, right? Like I think that it is not going to be rare for everybody to just be building their own systems. And then eventually maybe it'll all get consolidated into one sort of master agentic tool. But I just think that everybody will be empowered to build in a way that's going to change sort of how folks like us that are keeping track of like the new startups, it may not be as relevant as, you know, you and I talking about how we each built our own 8 tools this week to solve our problems. So, you know, the SaaS world is changing so fast. I'm really excited about everybody feeling like they're a builder, and then using our tools to build. I'm also excited about the fact that I still feel like, as you said from the beginning, storytelling still matters. I think that the shutdown of Sora was like an interesting industry indicator that like people aren't fully ready for entirely AI generated media content to replace our regular creation methods. So I think that the next couple of years are going to be really fun. We're going to still be obsessed with the distribution side, and there are going to be more and more, I think, athletes taking ownership and really running shit the way that a lot of the best ones have lately.
I couldn't agree more, and it's such a cool moment in time to be shaping the market and not just participating in it. I think it is a scream from the mountaintop to be a lifelong learner, and no longer are the days that you don't have access to this. You're not smarter. You're not smart enough. You know, everything is at our fingertips, and I will leave it with all of the magic still happens when we get together in person. And so, you know, storytelling's great. All the digital stuff is amazing, and it's only going to get better, but it will create a renaissance moment where it allows more time, space, energy for us to get together in the tribal mentality that makes us human and really start to create things that go far beyond what we're doing right now. Jared, as always, man, I could talk to you all day. From the Profluence team, thank you for all the amazing work you're doing for the industry. Give a subtle, not so subtle plug. If they want to go ahead and get tickets to the Gondola Summit, what's the best way to go ahead and buy your tickets to see everybody in May?
Go to gondola.cc/sportssummit26 or just Google Gondola Sports Summit. You'll find it. Use the code Profluence for $50 off. I have to go now and make that code work because I just decided that exists. But we vibe coded the entire ticketing site, so I can just go do that. It's great. So then I would say outside of that, if you're a creative, keep building, keep publishing, keep building your portfolio, use Gondola. And if you're in Denver, if any of y'all are listening in Denver, Tuesdays we have lunches here at the Fresh Tape Gondola office. Scott's been, we change it up every week for what we eat. So just if you're in the creative and sports community, just come hang out.
Jared, thanks again for everything you're doing. Can't wait to see you in May, and we'll do this again in a couple years on the podcast. Have a great one, brother.
Rock and roll, buddy. Later.